Hello, Flight Simmers. This is Rever here, and I am just getting started. And I wanted to show you what I did to automatically pull in the flight plan. If you look, it's a lot of typing if I had to type. Let's cut out real quick over to the internet. What I use is the sim brief, and you put in your flight number if you want such a thing. Doesn't really matter. The most important thing is the origin and the destination, and then you can generate a new flight plan. I've already generated this one. You can also pick your aircraft, and it'll estimate your fuel and whatnot. It's in kilograms typically. For some reason, whenever I try to pick pounds, it seems to just go back to that. But once I did that, I looked at those little black dots I know are waypoints. And I figured out two things over the last week that we could do. And one of those is to come down here. And what I was doing in the past was just downloading this FSX. And then I figured out eventually that I could do Sky Vector. So if we click on Open, which I had already done, it will give us in Sky Vector, zoom in so you guys can see if you're familiar with Sky Vector. If not, definitely go check it out. It's worth looking at the very least if you like flying. But it puts it right in there on the Sky Vector, which waypoint should be going to, which is pretty cool. Put your airports in there. So if you want to come down to an airport and right click on it, we can open up information about the airport that we're taking away. And not so much on these international flights, maybe when I get to Europe, I imagine. But when you're here, I haven't found a lot of good charts here, but when you're in the United States, and like I said, we'll be getting to Europe one of these days, I imagine it's pretty good for that too. But a lot of times I find it helpful to be able to come in here, and often I'll have the ILS mentioned if there is such a thing. And again, the airports around the world, it doesn't do as good a job as the United States or England or such. Imagine that just has to do with the popularity of it. So, in any event, so there we got this. But then I also noticed this. Actually, I looked on Google, because Google knows everything, and found that you can actually take a flight plan and download it. So that's what I did. Here it is. You can see it on my favorites bar, maybe. Hopefully you guys can read that. And I went into where it downloads and said show in folder, which is my downloads folder. I came over to my FSX, and I saved a test on the flight plan. I'll show you how to do that real fast. So if you type in a flight plan you want it to remember, you can save it. But I called it test, and then I searched for test and figured out that in the airplanes, MJC, nav, and routes, I just copied and pasted that flight plan right into this folder. Nothing big. And I'm going to have to remember to save that folder as a favorite there, or put it on the desktop or something. But let's go back to Flight Sim. And then if you come over to Flight Plan, it's a little different because I already have it in there, isn't it? Okay. Well, when you first open this up, if you don't have a flight plan, there's this copy. What's it say? Let me go back to the Google help. Copy PLT RTE. So copy PLT route. I'm not sure what the PLT stands for, but anyway, there it is. Planned route, something like that. And it just sucked it right in there for us. So there you go. So we are going from Dubai to Baghdad. Hopefully, so it's ORBI. Just wanted to look that up real quick because I figured I'd come over here. Yep, FSS connected. Let's just go see what the conditions are at ORBI for our landing. And ORBI, not much going on there. No clouds, 19 degrees Celsius, so quite warm. I think it's actually in real life like 2 o'clock in the morning there. I thought I fast forwarded the time. Let's get back into the plane here and unpause it. There we go. I think we're set to take off. Not take off, but take a look. So let's turn on some lights so we can see these gauges. Ooh. Got a new joystick, a Thrustmaster T Flight Hortas X. And I only flew one flight with it so far, but it definitely seems better than the Logitech Pro. The only real thing I don't like about it is that the throttle has like a indent position, and it's sort of, you got to get it in and out of that position, and it fights me. Like getting it to like 2600 RPMs is kind of goofy. So that was a little bit annoying on the way here, but there we go. So we got that. Got the lights on. And what I wanted to do was change this. Oops. Not sure why it would reload that. So is that saying 8 o'clock? 1800. I put to the wrong 6 o'clock, didn't I? So it's 1800. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I think I want to escape this flight. Or can we? You can't change the time. Can we change the time while we're in here? Time and season. Okay. Well, we don't want 1800. We wanted 6. I wanted to go 6 in the morning. Let's do 5:41. I think it'll still be a little bit dark. We can take off at sunrise. That's what I wanted, was, just fast forward, so to speak, in 3 hours. The weather conditions won't change. Active Sky Next will still do the current weather. We'll get that loaded up. And we'll see how it goes here. So yeah, that's a big time-saving thing, not having to put that flight plan in. Alright, so there we go. It's morning time. Wonderful. And we can see we got an Atlas airplane next to us. We do have traffic 360. UAE Air Force. So, well, that makes sense. We are in Dubai, so... Alright, so let's take a look at our kneeboard. I have this PDF kneeboard thing here. So we'll open a document. And what I did was create another folder that's just for these things. That's the mappings for my joystick there. So we will, I'll change the name of it. We'll open that up. And it's kind of big. Let's shrink it down some. There we go. That's probably good enough for what we want. We'll go up to the first one. I'll put that here. Let's put this here. That thing always is on top, which is a little bit annoying sometimes. Let's put some of our instruments where I tend to like them. And it's not even so much that they're over top of this. It's more that they're over top of these... if I select anything up here, so if I go to air, see that's blocking the view of those other things. Air traffic control. Alright, so let's go down and open up the doors, which is going to be Shift E. And of course that gets rid of my air traffic control as soon as I open it. And we want to put the main bus tie. Let's go zoom out just a hair. Alright, main bus to the tie position. Position lights is this. We want the parking brake on, which it is. Let's put the throttles and the disconnect. Now we're here looking at it. I'll put this on too. The battery's on. Yep, all the batteries are down on position. Now, in this checklist, it's assuming a cold dark start, but this, when you start it up with air hauler, it starts with some of the things done. Let's do radio controls on. Let's do the FMS accept. So I got past that as far as loading that planning goes. So we're past that point. Check on MDF2 that we have a DC external power on, and we do. They're asking us to get a GPU unit, which we already have it out there. It's already running. So they want us to switch to systems on nav 1 and then hit door system. And I think that's just as much, put that up so you remember to shut the doors. MDF2, they talk about putting it on nav and then sys. So there's nav and then there's sys. And that switches this one back to the electrical. And let's see what the altitude, using the regular knee board, the altitude of Baghdad is 100 feet, 113 feet. So they want us to set our landing altitude, and we'll do 124, assuming that's close enough, on a switch that jumps 120 every time or so. And while we're up here and looking, we can put both engine switches to normal. We can turn our bleed air. What did I skip on? I love to skip them. Recirculation fan on. Fuel cutoff. It's in the off position. Engine start norm. Fuel cutoff. Where am I at? Temperature control. See, I love to skip those things. And we'll put the temperature up to, there we go, 19 degrees Celsius. So there we go, we got both of those on. Bleed air set to minimum. Jumped back up one. Passenger signs on, which is these two switches here. We want to make sure this switch is in the taxi position. This is our yaw damper right here. Yeah, we jump right ahead too, don't we? Alright, so we'll go down the list. This is turning off our steering. So there's no steering off. Side vent open. No steering off, we just did that. Taxi, flight switch to taxi, just did that. Yaw damper, anti-skid switch on, which was that switch all the way over to the right. Control lock on, we turned that on a few minutes ago. Power levers to disconnect, which is basically throttle all the way back. Certainly not in the reverse position, but in like the neutral position. Condition levers, fuel off, which they are. Trim set. So this plane comes pretty much set. That's probably a good elevator trim to start out with. And I do want to put a little bit of right rudder. It doesn't hurt. This plane pulls to the left pretty consistently with the torque of the engines. And now we want to check ATIS and set our barometers in a second. Getting used to this hat switch. It jumps around a little bit more than I'm used to.
Greater than 20 miles. Sky condition clear. Temperature 31, 2.2, warp, altimeter 2980, ILS. Runway 12 left and ILS. Runway 12 right in use. Landing and departing runway 12 left and runway 12 right.
So we're runway 12, so let's make that guy be quiet for a minute. So we will pop back over to our knee board and see if we get a direction for 12 that's more specific. 120, so it is exactly what we might have guessed. Get the heading bug over to 120. Preparing for flight. Alright, so let's close that and go back to our checklist. So set altimeters, we did that. Enter the flight plan route. I showed you how, well, mostly how to do that. Maybe I'll make a separate video on how to set that up. because it was pretty, not wasted, but I spent a lot of time typing those things in on previous flights. What's next? We're not going to use SID or arrival SID, so if we did want to do that, you would... Let's move this out of the way for a second. You would go to flight plan, hit menu, and then you could put like depart. Yeah, we could try... Well, we don't know which one we're going yet, do we? I said 12 right, 12 left. Let's just put in 2 and see what happens here. Yeah, select SID. See, I don't know exactly what I'm doing as far as typing that stuff in, and I don't see one here, so... Yeah, so we're just going to hit enter. Flight plan again. So in any event, that's what you would do if you got all that set up. Arrival, you probably put in while you're in flight, unless you're real prepared, which I promise when I get back to Europe or America, I will work on that. It's just, I think, a little hard to figure out how to do from these far, not European or not American places. Alright, so now they want us to check air traffic control. And get IFR clearance going. Let's turn that flashing on. Let's set our departure frequency is 124.45. Squawk 5205. Acknowledge that. Set our altimeter to 12,000. And what I want to do is, I'm going to hit the heading button. Yeah, this is just endlessly in the way no matter where I put it. Maybe one day I'll find a good home for that checklist. Here's heading select. And we want to hit altitude, get altitude select. And just since we're thinking about it, we want to hit this and get go around. So, close that. There you go. You guys can see it right there. Alright, so here we are. Let's keep going down the list. Put the heading in. We did that for the runway. We set the altitude to 12,000. Decision altitude. So there is the MDA, and we want to put that up to... I'm going to put it on 1100. Now it says minimum... what's it say? Acceleration altitude. And I don't know exactly why you do that. So what do we got here? MDA. So see, set acceleration altitude. Add 1,000. So this airport's only... I can see if I move it over. Add elevation, but I'm not sure what you're supposed to do about that. We could set our V speeds to 104. The plane's empty other than fuel. So VR and V1 are 104, and then 108 is V2. Though to be honest, when this plane's empty, it just get it a little bit over 100, and it's at 120 before you know it. You're taking off whether you want to or not. Okay. I kind of messed that up, didn't I? There you go. So this is 104. There we go. You guys can see I'm right down there. And so now that's set. Wonderful. V speeds, nav aid frequencies. So I'm not going to set any nav aid frequencies. We're going to go off the FMS completely. Which, look, we skipped right past another instruction, which I love to do. FMS1. So this is our nav source. This turns into pink needles, meaning we will be flying pretty much as soon as we can on the flight plan. Hopefully, let's see how well it works out with exporting that like that. Hopefully it'll air traffic control doesn't end up yelling at us all the time. But so we're not going to set nav aid frequencies. Let's momentarily shut the checklist. And I'm going to hit Shift E. It says close doors. And we'll get our air traffic control back up. And we should see there's a sign for close the doors. Wonderful. And we are getting... Yeah, I don't like the way it's doing that. I like to be zoomed in about this amount. Wonderful. So now let's switch. We can get rid of this, but I do want to switch it back to nav. And there we go. We have our navigation system on this screen again. And go back to the kneeboard. Probably didn't really need to hide that. And we'll put it over here. And we're done with that switch after we switch that back to nav. The doors are closed. And we want to put our anti-collision light to red, which is the up position right there. What down is the white position for when we're flying. Make sure that our auxiliary power unit is off. And then this is where what happens in the game is a little bit different, it seems, than what happens with the... We're not going to need a pushback, are we? No, so we could probably just get the engine started. Yeah, we'll be able to turn in that space. This thing spins on a dime. Alright, so let's go up and get the engine started. So we'll switch over and get number 2 going first. But before I forget, I need to get that to the start position, leave the throttles in idle. And let's select that. That should be enough to get number 2 going. Once we get those started, we can turn the external power off and get rid of our GPU there. Looks like we're ramping up nicely. Wonderful.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's switch over to get number 1 started.
Welcome you on board of our Dash 8 Q400. The flight time today will be approximately 2 hours. Would you please fasten your seatbelts and refrain from smoking? If you want to use any electronic equipment, we would kindly ask you to contact us first. For takeoff and landing, these devices
It's looking like down here we're taking off the opposite direction, so we'll have to loop back around.
We wish you a pleasant stay.
And both engines are started. So we can turn the external power off, which is this switch right here. Come down to this guy. And come to data, services, cancel the GPU. And there we go. So now we've got external power off, cancel the GPU, parking brake release. So we want to put our condition levers up to max.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, so they're on max now. With my new joystick, I put those control levers on some buttons so I don't have to move them, which has been an issue at times. And I can move my flaps down to the 10-degree position. There we go, so we don't forget that later on. And we want to request IFR taxi clearance.
Romeo with Tango, ready to taxi IFR. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo, taxi 2 and hold short of runway 12 left via taxiway off at 5 November. Contact tower on 118.75 when ready.
Do 12 left. Acknowledge that taxi clearance.
12 left via taxiway off at 5
Quickly go down this checklist. Main bus tie off. Windshield heat to normal. Turn the bleeds on here. And we want to put on our auxiliary fuel pumps. There's auxiliary hydraulics there, auxiliary fuel pumps here, and auto feather. We will turn our nose steering back on even though we didn't get a pushback. We will I'm not going to turn MDF to nav. I'll just leave that on electrical. I don't ever look over there anyway. If we had a co-pilot, though, we would. And let's put our radar to standby. And we will turn on the transponder by holding this button down for 2 seconds. And FMS mode. So we're going to switch the radio control to FMS mode. I'm not sure what that does for you 100%, but another thing to learn about one day, I suppose. Ready to taxi. And we kind of jumped it there, didn't we? Alright, so we'll turn on progressive taxi. Let's put our taxi lights on. Release our parking brake. Control lock. Parking brake off. Taxi warning. Yeah, that doesn't seem to work, but let's check our flight controls real quick. Yeah, that works. Now we're starting to move. Elevators. Up, down. Rudder left, rudder right. Wonderful. We're not moving fast, but that's another thing about this plane is at least it gives you the option of moving backwards. You know? That's a very nice thing. So let's see. The thing I'm worried about at this moment is that I haven't seen a message from Air Hauler. See, it's saying start up there. Oops. If we don't see that message, it means that I have to redo a bunch of this stuff. Up there, go. Taxi and takeoff. Wonderful. Right, so let's give it a little throttle. Yep, so we'll be able to spin right around there.
775, taxi to the gate. Orbit 7775, taxi to State Echo 50. Using taxiway November, off at 5 November, off at 6. Orbit 7775, position caution other traffic. Dubai Cloud, Pacifica 4830, taxi to the gate. Pacifica 4830, taxi to
This new throttle is very, very nice, except for having that indent thing there.
Taxiing to Gate Bravo, via taxiway Kilo 2, Kilo, Yankee X-ray. Pacifica 4830.
It doesn't affect you that much until you're coming in on, you know, just trying to get your speed set. I might learn to work my way around it, but it's annoying that you would have to. So it's hard to set about 2,800 engine RPMs. But my taxiing is a lot less herky-jerky. It's definitely better than the Logitech was overall. I haven't flown with it a whole lot yet, but it's definitely somehow smoother. Let's get rid of this for a second. I'm sure I will have to get used to it. The one landing I've done so far wasn't too bad. It's hard to separate me just being poor at it from blaming it on the joystick. Joystick's a bit of a cop-out for me, maybe. Let's give it a little more throttle.
Ground, Airbus 2,
Turn here.
Foxtrot Golf, taxi to the gate. Airbus 2, Lima, Quebec, Foxtrot Golf, taxi to State Bravo 5, via taxiway Kilo 2, Kilo, Yankee, X-ray. Taxi to Gate Bravo 5, via taxiway
So
Kilo
what is there a
2,
fuel
Yankee,
truck
X-ray.
doing sitting right
Airbus
there?
Quebec,
Yeah?
Foxtrot Golf.
Guess we'll go around him, huh? Not sure if that would be the right thing to do in real life, but then again, I don't know if he's supposed to be out here in real life either. I have no idea how far you should get away from something with the wings. Probably just hit him in real life. Let's slow down a tad.
Number 533, position caution the departing Airbus A321. All position number 533.
20. Probably got a good speed.
Number 533, position caution the departing Boeing MD-80. All position number 533.
Alright, so let me we got a caution. Pitot-static heaters. We'll probably turn them on now. Let's start looking at our knee board. Nope, I don't want that. Cancel that. And come on. Alright, it stopped us for some reason. It caused a bit of lag, I guess. It caused us to come to a halt. Throttle. So yeah, the throttle control's a lot better having an official one. This joystick's only about $50, so I don't expect a whole lot from it, but compared to pay $250,
Number 533, continue taxi.
like everything else in life, people seem to have good and bad to say about both of them. This was a very popular one. Well, let's give it a try.
Position caution the Bombardier on the taxiway.
Give me some years of good service.
Number 533.
I have the Logitech as a backup. Just because something's more expensive. There's another $500 one by this Thrustmaster. That's just too much for me to spend on a joystick. I'm sure it's wonderful. Everybody had glowing things to say about it. So we got a couple planes coming in to land. We'll probably have to wait for that. Unless they're coming in on right. We're going out on left. Finally made it. And let's tune the tower here.
Approaching 1, 2, left.
Parking brake tuned to the tower. Press takeoff clearance.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo at runway 12 left.
So we want
Ready
to
for
switch
takeoff
in
via
flight
Baghdad.
position.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo, hold short, runway
Yep,
12
we gotta wait for a
left.
minute
Traffic
anyway.
About A320 on the runway.
So let's move. You know what? I'm going to move this out of the way this time. Let's go to data. This is cabin display, flight attendants. Fasten the seatbelts.
You're about Hotel Charlie Delta. Turn next taxiway.
For your own safety, we instruct you to keep your seatbelt
Hold
fastened
short,
during the
runway
entire
Wow,
flight.
is
12
that hold
left.
short,
Romeo
taxi
Echo
to the
Victor
flight
Echo
position.
Romeo.
Autopilot, hit the heading twice to reset our flight plan. Flight data. Check clear on the panel. And that light over there is for the parking brake, so we're in good shape. We want to make sure this is set on some heading select.
Lufthansa 638. Dubai
We want to
Tower.
make sure we're on go around and altitude select.
Altimeter 2980.
And we're in good shape.
Charlie Delta. Contact ground on 118.35.
So might as well get our taxi lights off.
Romeo, clear for takeoff. Runway 12
Yep.
left.
Let's switch this over
Pacifica
to
2240. Contact ground on
put on our
118.35.
wing lights and logo lights.
638. Clear to land. Runway
We are ready to
12
go.
left. Clear for takeoff. Runway 12 left. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo.
Yep, we got flaps. I can see them down there. So let's get our parking brake off. And out there. Let's hide that. Let's put this up so you guys can see it.
Going to 118.35. Airbus Hotel Charlie Delta.
And I go and do all that. And I slow down. Seems like a plenty long runway here, doesn't it?
On runway 12 left.
Alright, here we go. So let's hit some brakes. Give her full throttle. There we go. Let go of the brakes.
Lufthansa 638. Go
Some
around.
rudder. They're making him go around because I took too long to get out there and take off. Sorry about that, buddy. Now I'm all over the runway for some reason.
Lufthansa 638.
And
Contact
we
Dubai
have
approach on
V1.
124.45.
Which is also VR.
Traffic. Traffic.
Alright, we're in the air. Oh, shoot. Let's get the autopilot
Dubai Tower,
on. Gear up.
080 at runway 12
get the
left.
flaps up.
IFR to Doha. Well travel 9080.
Flaps are indicating going up.
Romeo
Gear
Echo
should be
Victor
going
Echo
up.
Romeo. Contact Dubai departure on 124.45. 124.45. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo.
And we are airborne. Wonderful.
761. You are 21 miles west. Turn right heading 090. Descend and maintain 2000.
Let's switch over to IAS
Runway
while he's
12
talking.
right approach. Maintain 2000 until established on the localizer. Contact flight
205.
towers on 118.75. Lufthansa 638. Turn left heading 315. Etihad 25. Turn right heading 210. Dubai departure. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo is climbing through 2,600 for 2000. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Dubai departure. Roger. Altimeter 2980. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Turn left heading 310. Proceed on course. Climb and maintain 2000. Turn left heading 310. Proceed on course. Climb and maintain 2000. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo.
And a big turn to the opposite direction.
Left heading
We're off.
345. Lufthansa 638.
Turn left left heading 150, descend and maintain 2000. Clear ILS, runway 12 left approach.
Nicely, let's get our
until established. Tower on
props down to 900.
118.75, Etihad 25.
And we'll start going through this checklist. After takeoff, the gear is up, the flaps are at 0, the autopilot is engaged. I set the IS, in our case I'm going to do 105 for now. Might go to 110 later. Condition lever is 900. Climb at full throttle, bleed flow, let's put that to normal.
Turn left heading 280.
Let's acknowledge him.
Heading 270, proceed on course.
Blades
Climb
are normal.
10,000. World travel diner
Set
080.
280.
World travel diner 080. Traffic is 9 o'clock, 4 miles at 7,000. Bombardier, report limit site. Turn left heading 280. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Boeing Delta Hotel uniform. Descend and maintain 2,000. World travel diner 080. Contact approach on 122.5. Lufthansa 638. Turn right heading 345.
Turn right heading 345. Lufthansa 638.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Contact Emirates Center on 124.85. Going to 124.85. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Emirates Center Romeo Echo
We'll turn
Victor
off our
Echo
hydraulic,
Romeo is at 8,000.
auxiliary hydraulic,
Climbing
auxiliary
12,000.
pumps,
Romeo Echo Victor
auto
Echo
feather.
Romeo. Emirates Center Roger. Altimeter 2981.
ice protection. We're still plus 17 Celsius, so we'll see. I don't see too many clouds. And barometric pressure went up a tiny bit. Get that adjusted, why not? Let's turn on our weather radar, which is here. I don't expect any weather whatsoever here in the desert.
Heavy. Descend and maintain 10,000. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Turn right heading 310. Proceed on course. Emirates Center Pakistani 217 is at 8,400. Descending
I'll
8,000.
Jim in a second.
Pakistani 217. Emirates Center Roger. Altimeter 2983. Emirates Center World Travel Diner 080 is climbing 30,300 for 10,000. World Travel Diner 080. Emirates Center Roger. Altimeter 2980. Turn
There we
right
go.
heading 310. Resume on
So let's hit
navigation.
nav. Let's go
Romeo
take
Echo
us
Victor
back
Echo
the
Romeo.
other way. So we're now on LNAV here. Oops.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Climb and maintain flight level 180.
Let's get that moving up.
World Travel
So
Diner
we don't start gaining too
080.
much
Climb and
speed.
maintain 16,000. Climb and maintain 16,000. World Travel Diner
IS back
080.
on 205.
Climb and maintain flight level 180.
No winds to speak of, 4 knots.
Romeo.
Alright, so I am not going to switch this one to anything. Up there. We can put it on the train while the other one's on. Whatever. So why am I looking down here out
World Travel
chime?
Diner 271 Heavy. Turn right heading 250.
And they're telling us to reduce power when leveling off.
2,100.
And make sure the altimeters are set. Above 10,000 feet, turn off our wing and logo lights. Let's turn off the landing lights.
Travel Diner 271 Heavy. You are 38 miles northeast. Turn left heading 185. Expect vector ILS. Runway 31. Approach.
Go, so
Left heading 185.
FD seatbelt notice. So
Runway
come into here.
Approach. World Travel Diner 271
And FD. I think it's the next one.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Turn right heading 340.
Yeah, so this is where we're going to start.
Turn right heading 340.
You know.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo.
We're we're just going to kind of ignore air traffic control and fly this flight plan. And this is where I'm wondering if we're going to get into a conflict with, you know, the flight plan, the two different flight plans, the one that's in the FMS and the one that we loaded in there. You would think they would be the same. So anyway, FD, seatbelts.
Turn left heading 270. Proceed on course. Climb and maintain flight level 220. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Please expedite your turn to heading 340. Pacifica 455 Heavy, north 64 miles northeast. Turn left.
Let's see what happens if we just ignore him. I'm not sure what seatbelt message they need. Notify flight attendants.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Please expedite your turn to heading 340. Pacifica 455 Heavy, turn left heading 185. Descend and maintain 12,000.
He's just going to sit there and keep yelling at us. So let's see how far off this takes us. So let's listen to him because he is the air traffic control. Switch back over to heading.
Please expedite your turn to heading 340.
Let's take a look here and see. Where did we take a look? Flight plan.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Turn right, heading 340. Climb and maintain flight level 270.
Alright, so
Pacifica
270.
Heavy, turn right, heading 230. Proceed on course. Descend and maintain 6,000. Turn right, heading 230. Proceed on course. Descend and maintain 6,000. Pacifica 455 Heavy.
So hopefully after we get to this next... What is all that on this screen? Oops, keep doing that. Look at all that.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Did you hear my last transmission?
Yes, I did.
Turn right, heading 340. Climb and maintain flight level 270. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. World travel.
So I have no idea why he's taken us this far.
300-837. Contact by approach on 12.
Fortunately, we should have plenty of fuel.
Orbit 1334. Descend and maintain 5,000.
Oops, I forgot to put the fuel in there. So let's do, what's it?
Maintain 5,000.
5335 or so. So
going to 124.45. 837.
again, that thing's in the way. So that's going to be 5660. Enter. Performance. So we don't have enough, but we're climbing, and it's coming down, which is showing that we should have.
Pacifica 2940.
Pacifica 455 Heavy. Contact approach on 122.5. 122.5 for Pacifica 455 Heavy.
He's got us flying way off the course. So I think we're just going to go ahead and cancel the IFR. We can do some flight following.
Cancel IFR. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Understand cancel IFR. Please confirm. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Turn left and heading 310. Resume on navigation. World travel 90080. Climb and maintain flight level 320. Climb and maintain flight level 320. World travel 90080.
to get a word in edgewise sometimes, isn't it?
Contact by approach on 124.45. Turn left heading 310. Resume on navigation. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Emirates Center Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Collect to cancel IFR. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Understand cancel IFR. Please confirm. Affirmative. Cancel IFR. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. IFR flight plan is canceled. Radar service terminated. Squawk 1200. Maintain VFR. Frequency change approved. 124.45 for orbit 1334.
Alright, so this is bringing us back in line with our original flight path. Canceled the IFR. Means I need to come down here. Let's change our squawk code. 200. Wrong way. There we go. So now we're squawking 2000. And we can request freight following.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo is type Bombardier 2.
Which means they'll put the squawk code back to what it was.
Alpha, request flight following. Orbit 41901, turn left heading 130, proceed on course, descend and maintain 17,000. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo, Emirates Center, squawk 4652, orbit 933, descend and maintain 9,000.
652, so
Descend and maintain 9,000, orbit 933.
652.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo, radar contact 27 miles southwest at Oscar Indian Bravo Alpha, flight level 232. Copy, Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo.
Alright, very good. So now, what do we do? Not much. Oh, I want to take the IAS. Let's slow down a little bit, climb a little bit faster. So we'll go down to 195. Just for the sake of getting up into cruise altitude a little bit quicker. You notice that makes a pretty big difference on climbing at least twice as fast now, so I'd rather get up there and start conserving fuel a little sooner. And there we go, back on the flight path. Yeah, it just seems that they're taking us a different way.
2100, Pacifica 455 Heavy, Air Force 841, descend and maintain 11,000.
Descend and maintain 11,000. Air Force 841.
I think I put the heading at 183, so that's pretty good heading, just in case we have to go to autopilot. We should be generally going in that direction. What does that look like here? Yeah, 283, 283. There's a lot of little, yeah, 290. Yeah, 280. Then it's not till we get to the very end that we turn a little bit more. Quite done the climb.
Orbit 933.
As we get into the thinner air, our RPMs drop off a bit.
Pacifica 7579er, turn left heading 210. Turn left heading 210. Pacifica 7579er. Air Force 841, traffic is 1 o'clock, 4 miles, at flight level 182, Boeing 737, report site. Orbit 41901, traffic is 3 o'clock, 3 miles, at 14,700. orbit 41901, have the Dassault Mirage in sight.
And we got another 1,000 feet to go to cruise altitude. Nothing all that exciting happening. Let's take a look at our no cautions. We got that to normal. How's our ice situation? We're in the desert. You wouldn't expect it would be too bad. So we're at minus 21 degrees Celsius.
You are 3-4 miles northwest, turn left heading 150, descend and maintain 2000, clear ILS, runway 12 right approach, maintain 2000 until established on the localizer. Contact the Dubai Tower on
20 mile per hour headwind, not 20 degree, but
turn left heading
that's another thing to look at.
Maintain 2000,
Active
clear
sky
ILS,
next.
runway 12 right approach.
Let's just take a look at the winds aloft report. I'm not too worried about 20. Sometimes you can drop down a little bit. Yeah, so it's 19 degrees at 24. 19 degrees, I keep saying degrees. 19 mile per hour winds, or not winds. 28 or 30, so it's really not going to be much advantage to drop it down. We'll lose more ground speed to drop it down through the thicker atmosphere. Ground speed 274. Not bad. We won't really know much until we get actually into cruise speed. We're almost there. Move the props to 900 just to grab once we start gaining some speed here. Drop them back down. At this point, yeah, we don't have a lot of extra fuel, do we? At least not according to this.
Air Force 841, turn right heading 360. Turn right heading 360, Air Force 841.
I put in 5334. That's not right at all. It should be like 10. I put in 5660, didn't I? So I should put in 10,300 right now. There we go. We could fly halfway to Iraq and back, it looks like. I bet you we could fly there and back darn near, especially if we stayed at altitude. Alright, so we're not worried. Keep an eye on the speed. I think I'll speed up a little bit and buzz our way there at 16 times once our speed settles down. Get up to like 235 if we can. If not, that's okay too. Above a little tiny layer of clouds. Speeds at 229. Headwinds at 22 miles an hour. Ground speed's 326, so that's pretty nice. Make good time. Let's hop out of the plane, see what it looks like for a little while. Hopefully we won't overspeed while we're there. Hey, look, I got a co-pilot. Where'd he come from?
856, turn left, heading 100, resume on navigation, descend and maintain. Pacifica, turn 85.
Maximum cruise.
World travel 3605.
This has got a computer control for the engines.
Traffic at 3 o'clock, green miles at flight level 279er to about
Alright, so let's fast forward time 16. Let's open this up first. And when we get to about 100 miles away, we'll... Oops. We shall...
4769er, Romeo Echo Vector, Romeo Echo. Vector, Romeo.
Where they have in there by default. It's just not right.
Victor, Echo, Romeo, Echo, Victor, Romeo, Echo, point 1, 2. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo, await center, roger.
Looks like we can see land again. Still 341 miles out. Cruising along nicely. 16 times speed, so it's like being in a Learjet. Accept the data on this one, did I?
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo, Echo, Romeo, Echo, 1, 1. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo, here, Cook Center, roger.
This guy says I want to go past it. We're getting kind of close. Minute. Start slowing down a bit.
Army 543, traffic alert, orbit 82. One, two, turn left heading 10. Army 543, traffic alert, 7 o'clock, less than 1 mile. Army 543, you're 400 above your assigned altitude. Turn left heading 13. Army 545, you're 300 above your assigned altitude. Turn left heading 1. Army 543, you're 100 above your assigned altitude. Turn left.
Alright, let's get back onto our IFR flight plan. IFR, fire route. He's going to take me all the way back.
On course, descend and maintain 10,000. Altimeter, Army 543, you're 100 above your assigned altitude. Turn left heading 130, stay on course, descend and maintain 10,000.
See if I can
Altimeter
get past that.
Army 545, you're 0 above your assigned altitude. Turn left heading 130.
Leave him
still on
alone.
navigation, descend and maintain 10,000. Altimeter 299. Foxtrot November Charlie Papa, you're 300 above your assigned altitude. Turn left heading 145.
Everybody's above their
Stay on
altitude,
course,
huh?
climb and maintain flight level 36. Army 543, you're 0 above your assigned altitude. Turn left heading 130, proceed on course, descend and maintain 10,000. Altimeter 2992.
There we go.
Aircube Center, Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo 41 miles southwest of Oscar Romeo 1 Bravo. Request IFR to Baghdad. Ready to copy. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo is cleared to Baghdad. Airport is filed. Squawk 4652.
Squawking 4652.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo cleared at Baghdad. Airport has filed. Squawk 4652. Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo, read back correct. Radar contact light level 271. Turn right heading 325. Descend and maintain light level 270. Turn right heading 325. Descend and maintain light level 270.
Switch over to heading select.
Echo Victor Echo Romeo.
Did you give me an altimeter reading? I really wish they
Army
would.
543, Captain Sikorsky Black Hawk helicopter.
Let's go to active sky next. Just get our
Army
barometer.
543, traffic alert. 8 o'clock, less than 1 mile, 10,000. Sikorsky Black Hawk helicopter. Report them in sight.
Army 543, traffic in sight.
Army 543, traffic alert. 8 o'clock, less than 1 mile, 10,000.
That should get us
Sikorsky
close
Black
anyway,
Hawk
hopefully.
helicopter. Report them in sight. Army 543, traffic alert. 9 o'clock, less than 1 mile, 10,000. Sikorsky Black Hawk helicopter. Report them in sight. Army 543.
Picking up speed to 240, approaching our maximum here, so
Sikorsky Black Hawk
make sure it doesn't go up too much higher.
Romeo Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Descend and maintain 16,000.
Okay.
Army 543, traffic alert. 9 o'clock,
Let's
less
get
than
to
1 mile, 10,000.
vertical speed.
Sikorsky Black Hawk helicopter. Report them in sight.
Descend at
Romeo
1800.
Echo Victor Echo Romeo. Turn left heading 295. Resume all navigation. Descend and maintain 16,000. Army 543, traffic alert. 9 o'clock, less than 1 mile, 10,000. Sikorsky Black Hawk
Let's give it a little
helicopter.
more throttle
Report
than
them in
that.
sight. Army 545, traffic alert. 2 o'clock, less than 1 mile, 10,000. Sikorsky Black Hawk helicopter. Report them in sight. Turn left, heading 295. Resume on navigation. Descend and maintain 16,000.
Except you don't like my navigation, lady.
Romeo.
Well, actually, she did bring me right in. If you look, let's bring this down to 40 miles. So we are pretty close. So we're just going to head 295 at this point. We've got 230 airspeed. Throttle set to 1800. I didn't hit altitude select, so let's get this down to 16,000. And altitude select, there we go. So now we're in business. Alright, so what we want to do, vectors yet, but because we're just going to fly this heading, let's just do direct to destination. And number 34 is ORBI, so we'll put 34 in there. We can also put ORBI in up here as well. There we go, so that'll give us our direct distance, which will appear up here. So we're 76 miles away. Also appears down here until I go over to an ILS or a DME as we approach. Let's get rid of that real quick and let's look at our briefing.
Airbus Quebec, Foxtrot Golf.
ORBI, there's the airport. 2 runways. 33 right and left and 15. All of them have ILS, so that's kind of nice. We'll be ready for our frequency when we get that far. said resume on navigation, so we head more directly towards the airport. She may end up yelling at us, but it's all right. Bit. Get used to it. Yeah, see, this is where I fight with this indent on this thing. Like, it wants to go to this certain position, like right there. You know, you can fiddle with it in that indent, but it sort of fights you. It's not just a smooth thing. So we're down to 19,000 feet. How does it look out there? Kind of funny.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. You are 6-3 miles southeast. Turn right heading 330. Expect vectors visual. Runway 33 left approach.
Alright, so 33 left. Let's acknowledge that.
Turn right heading 330.
We're going to be in a visual.
Visual. Runway 33 left approach. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo.
But we'll still put in our 33 left is going to be 110.3. 110.3. There we go. So let's switch away from navs, from this source to that one. Close that. Since we are descending, let's just take a look at our checklist. Climb 1,000 feet. Next one. Yep. So altitude select. We've got down to 16,000. We're going to increase the throttle shortly here. We'll slow down a bit. 230 knots in the descent, which is, we went down a little bit faster maybe.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo.
So keep us going straight on down, so that's good. Let's, if we mess up too much, let's acknowledge her.
Maintain 6,000. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo.
Let's get that set on 6,000. Altitude select. Vertical speed. Drop back that throttle just a little more. So then we have less than 10,000 feet. Altimeter, she hasn't given us an altimeter reading yet, but we did check it not too long ago. And again, yeah, we'll knock these throttles down just to start slowing down a bit. Once we're below 10, once we get to that 6,000, we'll try to slow down even further. External lights on. By external lights, I think they mean wing light and the logo light. Seatbelts on. Never took them off. Which is usually what I've noticed they
Romeo,
tend to
Echo,
do
Victor, Echo,
nowadays.
Romeo. Turn left heading 305.
Turn left heading 305. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo.
And the one thing we didn't do, keyboard briefing, 326. So let's get this course set to 326. There we go. Alright, so external sector set. Are we 50 nautical miles? Yes, we are. So I don't like this CDI pointer, but you can point this blue pointer, you can put it on your FMS right here. I just assume leave it down there. It's okay. ILS to runway heading, we just did that. CDI nav pointer, and I don't want to do that. FMS approach and tune approach. So then we'll put this on here. Now I don't have the approach put in, so we're going to fly whatever they tell us to fly. DMA set, that was set previously. Let's get rid of this for a second. It's the few buttons you can't hit. So if we, 1130 will be 1,000 feet. Since we are on visual flight rules, that'll be our decision altitude. I don't see it being a big problem on this flight. Speed bug. I don't usually do this. I would prefer to use, they have a red bar that comes up and tells me my approximate stall speed. I will just be about 15% above that speed, which should be about 95, so we'll try to get it to be around 110 that we come in at. And ground warning system is set for 15 degrees of flaps. I did that while I was fast forwarding. We just received vector, so the heading bug is set. She just gave us another heading a few minutes ago. The autopilot is on heading select. We want to switch our radio control over to off of FMS. Turn the volume up here, even though we're doing a VFR or landing, we'll still let that beep when we get in range of the ILS. So we could still use the ILS to get us close if we want. Notify the flight attendants that we are approaching. Data, cabin display. Next, flight attendants approach.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just started our approach. We would kindly ask you to fasten your seatbelts again and turn off all your electronic equipment.
There we go. So nav source, we switched that over to nav 1, even though it says ILS. And that puts us on the blue needles down here. We're still not getting a signal, but we are 35 miles away. Looks like we're coming in basically with the runway direction here, so that we won't have to fly an upwind leg. And again, we get an altimeter reading. What do we have? But we'll get that in there as soon as we can. We'll turn on our auxiliary fuel pumps and whatnot. And we'll slow down eventually to 180 as we get close. Alright, so let's hide that guy.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Contact Baghdad, approach on 119.4. 119.4. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Baghdad, approach. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo is at 6,300, descending 6,000. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo, Baghdad, approach. Roger, altimeter 298.
So we did get the barometer pretty darn close there. Just want that. Yes. Okay, so we're still 30 miles out. Pretty much. Yeah, I'm surprised we're not picking up the ILS. I have it right, correct? Let's make sure of that. Not that I'm not worried about it, but 33 left. That's definitely what they gave us, right? not that we wouldn't pick up either one of them. Visual 33 left approach. There's 33 left, 110.3. 110.3, very good. So maybe it's broken. That's why we're coming in VFR.
Baghdad approach, Beach, Yankee, India, uniform, Delta, visit 5,800, descending 2,100. Beach, Yankee, India, uniform, Delta, Baghdad approach, roger, altimeter 2990.
Yeah, that ILS does not seem to be doing much for us, does it? Got a good speed going. Turned over 025. There we go. We hit altitude select. No, we didn't. So let's do that. 2100. Yep. So 20 miles out. Getting a little more speed than I might like, but.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Turn right heading 055. Turn right heading 055. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo.
So this will put us perpendicular to the runway.
195. Turn right heading 195. Beach, uniform, Delta.
So that when this is 90 degrees on the display here, we'll know we'll be pretty close to turning to be straight in. So the idea being that even if you didn't have their help and they weren't bringing you in on this particular pattern, you want to line this line up with that. So that's the reason that they want you to hold this format button. There you go. But then then you lose your line, you know. So personally, I'd rather have that line right there than this thing. So there you go. See, I'd rather have that where I know that when this line is in line with this line, like that, then I know I'm pretty close.
Caution, terrain.
There's a little runway right below us. Big little runway out in the middle of the desert with nothing around it. It's kind of hazy, isn't it? Let's see what our weather report says. ORBB. Visibility 9, yeah, so it's not, usually they'll tell you at least 10 plus or something like that. So it is a little bit limited visibility. Winds from a little bit east of north, but so a little bit of a crosswind on this runway. Should be from right to left. Wind's coming in this way. We'll be coming in that way. Just something to keep in mind. Good to know as you're approaching. Now we're starting to get fairly close here, so since we're not going to start out at 20 miles, she's starting this one out.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. H, uniform, Delta. Turn right heading 285. Turn right heading
Quite to the runway, but close.
Uniform, Delta.
Should probably give us an instruction real fast to turn the remainder. Oh, shoot. Knocks off my autopilot as well. Let's get the autopilot back on. Let's see if it holds that altitude. Sometimes it doesn't. Good thing I have that warning, huh? Just daydreaming away. So let's just select the altitude. And do vertical speed down a little bit. Altitude select. Let's slow back down a bit. Well, not slow down, but stop accelerating.
Baghdad approach, Mall, Yankee, India, uniform, Delta, with you 8,300.
Uniform, Delta.
We're 13 miles out, so let's give it 5 degrees of flaps. Let's close this off. Let's get our D-pad out. And yeah, we'll start doing this 10. So 5 degrees of flaps, 160 knots, we're there. Notify the flight attendants. Landing. Some instruction for somebody else going on there. Altitude bug set for go around, so we're going to leave that on 2,100. And they tell me if we're going to go ILS. Well, so now one of the things I like to do is before we're 8 miles out is get my plane all set. I'm not that good to be switching in the middle of the glide slope.
Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Airport is at your 10 o'clock, 1 mile. Turn left heading 325. The port runway in sight.
Turn left heading 325. Romeo, Echo, Victor, Echo, Romeo.
Alright, so let's get our gear down. Let's the gears down. You know, we skipped something, didn't we? Oh, there we go. Approach checklist. So auxiliary fuel pumps, auxiliary hydraulics, on. Let's get our landing lights on. because I like to forget that. I don't see the runway just yet. Alright, so now that we've got that done, our speed's okay for the moment. How far out are we? 8. We gotta start thinking about our descent. Flaps to 15. So I don't like to change that because I have a hard enough holding the glide slope without the increase in altitude we get in this plane with that. Alright, runway in sight.
Echo Victor, Echo Romeo, runway in sight. Romeo, Echo Victor, Echo Romeo.
Let's take this autopilot off.
Southeast 100, cleared visual, runway 33, left approach. Contact Baghdad Tower on
Off to the right a little bit. Or off to the left, I mean. We're above the glide slopes. Let's start descending. Let's back off on the throttles.
Romeo, Echo Victor, Echo Romeo. Did you copy?
Yep.
Climb and maintain 2,100. Cleared visual, runway 33, left approach. Tower on
So we're going down 1,000 feet per minute.
Romeo, Echo Victor, Echo Romeo.
Slow down more. Alright, let's get turned with the runway. Condition levers max. Lead flows minimum. I don't have
1,000.
time for that. Now we're below the darn glide slope. Let's give it some gas. See, the bleeds are yellow on that engine display, if you guys can see that. I'm just going to turn them off. It's fine. Now we got to gain some altitude, get off to the right. There we go. I see a white light.
Approaching 3 left.
Alright, let me get I need to switch to this, get my view right where I want it. Oh, shoot.
Too high,
Yeah,
too high.
Too fast.
Approaching 3 left.
Alright,
Sync rate.
I'm trying to make up
Sync
for...
rate.
Now we're too low. This is sad. Alright, we're straight on. We're doing okay. There's that wind blowing us slightly. Let's slow down the throttles a little bit. Oh, come on.
100.
There we go. Get over to the right. Come on. Get over
50.
to the right.
40. 30. 10.
Too hard. Well, that was ugly. They usually are when I land, huh? Alright, now we can even do our reverse throttle thing.
Baghdad approach, Cessna, Yankee, India, uniform Delta.
Alright, well, we taxi to gates, and I didn't even see that.
Romeo, Echo Victor, Echo Romeo, taxi to gate off 14, taxi rate Papa 4, Papa
Here,
Echo
I think-
Oscar X-ray. Taxiing to gate
Alright, so let's
taxiway Papa 4,
put
Papa
some of this
Tango
stuff.
Oscar
Taxi
X-ray.
lights
Romeo,
on.
Echo
Let's
Victor,
switch to
Echo
red.
Romeo.
Landing lights off, taxi light on, control lock on. Flaps. Oops, that's not what I want. Flaps up. There we go. And we want the auxiliary fuel pumps off. Let's turn on progressive taxi. And let's let off the brake. We can start going forward a little bit slowly. And let's see, what else do we have? Flap 0, we did that. Auxiliary fuel pumps. Ice protection and windshield heat off. Pitot heaters I know are coming. Never did need ice protection, but then again we are in the desert. So, what else do we have going on there? Main bus to tie. Here's the yaw damper off. Main bus. Whoa!
Bank angle. Bank angle.
What happened there?
Approaching.
Bank angle.
3 left.
Bank angle. Bank angle.
Approaching.
Bank angle.
3
Huh.
left.
Bank
On
angle.
taxiway. On
Bank
taxiway.
angle.
I don't know what I possibly
Taxiway.
did to
On
cause that.
taxiway. Approaching. 3 left.
Advise controller on initial contact. You have to go back.
Romeo,
Okay.
Echo Romeo, you are not cleared to take off.
Yeah, I'm not really actually trying to take off, quite honestly. Huh. Alright, well let's take this control lock back off and yeah, I don't know what happened there.
On runway 15 right. Flat.
This-
Flaps.
That down to the taxi position. Yeah, no. Alright, well that's pretty bizarre, isn't it? We got like 43. Even to move forward, I'm at like some ridiculous thing. Hopefully I can make it. Look at that. There it goes again.
Approaching 15 right. Approaching 3 left.
Clear. Temperature 25, dew point 7, altimeter 2, visual, runway 32, landing and departing, runway 32, VFR aircraft, city direction of flight, all aircraft, feedback from short instruction, advise controller on initial
I wonder
contact.
if I can go another way, but something's obviously wrong there, isn't it?
Approaching 3 left.
Let's see if we can't go further down the runway. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, guys, but this is kind of crazy. Got the stick pulled all the way over to the right. Can I turn? Yeah, I have no idea why it's doing this. Let's get off the runway anyhow, if we can. It's just going straight, parking over here. We can take off from here the next time. There's got to be some kind of glitch. There is some way that you can correct the global vector. I think I'll run that when I'm done this flight. Yeah, let's just get over here. See, now it's fine. Now I can steer. Well, maybe not fine, but alright, well there we go. So let's put on the parking brake. Not sure what happened there. And we'll go through shutting the plane off. Weather radar off. I mean, the things that I was turning off don't make any sense to cause that kind of problem. The oil dampers off, skid control off. Altitude bug, set that to 0. Flight times, fuel consumption, pitot heaters are off. And we're just going to stop right here. So taxi lights off. Turn off the different lights. There we go. Turn off the recirculation. Put this control lock on. Let's turn the engines to props to start and feather, I mean. We'll leave the nose steering on. And bleeds I turned off upon landing. Transponder, put it to standby. Power level is at disconnect. Yep, hydraulics are off. I think that's what I was turning off when the thing went nuts over there. Condition levers off. APU, we're not going to do that. Collision lights off. Did that. Seatbelt signs off. And open the doors. And there we go, a semi-successful thing. Let's shut the engines off and hopefully get an air hauler message. Yep. So at least we got here. Again, I'm not sure what happened with the airport, but I'm going to try to run that thing in the FTX Central to see if it can't correct some of these airport issues I've been having, and go from there. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I hope you guys have a good night. Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.